Hey guys, what's up? Plastic Guy here, coming back with another figure review, and today we're taking a look at these ToyBiz era Marvel Legends Green Goblin figures. And I still think these are some of the best Green Goblin figures out there. I picked up this one on eBay a few years back. I think I got him for around £10, which is such a steal. He did come with the satchel. I've put that on my Marvel Legends Hobgoblin figure since. But even though this thing came in pretty good condition, he was lacking the pumpkin bomb. He came with the glider, but it didn't come with the stand. And over the years, the amount of times I've picked this thing up to pair with Spider-Man, he secured himself as my favourite ToyBiz figure. And I told myself, if I came across a version on eBay with the pumpkin bomb, with the glider, the stand, the satchel, in good condition, I was going to pick another one up. And so I've had my eye out for around a year now, and in my hunt for that original piece, I came across the unmasked variant, which I actually hadn't seen too much of. I knew he was out there, I'd seen inbox pictures, but I hadn't seen much of him on the likes of Instagram, and I certainly hadn't come across him really on eBay. And with it being my favourite ToyBiz figure, with me knowing that I was going to eventually make a video on this piece, I knew I was going to have to try and grab that unmasked variant. I think he was up on auction if I remember right, and I got him for just under £30 all in. He doesn't come with the satchel or the original glider, but the seller was nice enough to include this mental ToyBiz glider here that we can take a closer look at later on. So I did get a glider with him, just not the original one. But that aside, this thing was in excellent condition, and I'm so happy to have gotten this version of, again, my favourite ToyBiz Goblin figure. And then it wasn't long after that I came across the original version, complete and great condition, and I got that for around £24 all in. Both of them have finally arrived. I've got both of them now in the collection, and so it's a better time than any to make this video right here. Before we do though guys, let me know down in the comment section below what ToyBiz era figure you think still holds its place in 2024. For me, I certainly do think it is this Green Goblin figure. Not as much the unmasked variant, but the original Green Goblin figure here, I think, is still the best classic comic looking Green Goblin figure that we've got to this day. Maybe, I don't know, now that the Mezco's out there, maybe that isn't as true, but certainly when you're comparing it to some of the recent Hasbro Marvel Legends figures, I think this ToyBiz still has a place in the collection. And I do think some of the more stylized Spider-Man figures, like the Sinister Six Spidey, the McFarlane Spider-Man figure, they still definitely hold up to a certain extent here in 2024. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. As always guys, while you're down there, if you could do me a massive favour and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel and haven't done so already, then please hit that subscribe button. And let's not wait any longer, let's take a closer look at our ToyBiz Green Goblin figures. And so I think it makes sense to start with the original Green Goblin figure here, and we'll bring in the unmasked variant later on. On the right I have the one that I picked up a few years back. This is the one I've been posing and pairing with Spider-Man over the last couple of years. And on the left is the most recent eBay pickup. So in terms of taking a closer look at this guy, let's take a closer look at the one that is in near perfect condition. I mean, honestly, the collector that had this before me has taken such good care of him. And as I said, he comes complete. We've got the glider with the stand that we'll look at, and then the figure itself. And starting with the head sculpt here, I mean, I really do think it's the head sculpt on this figure that sets it apart from so many other Green Goblin figures. This captures comic Green Goblin absolutely perfectly. I'm just going to zoom in a little here, and yeah, from the eyes to the sculpted hood, and I think most importantly with this figure, the colours. I really love the deep, kind of darker purple and green that they've used all over this figure. But with the head sculpt here, I don't think this is something that Hasbro Marvel Legends have really captured since this ToyBiz release. This does it best, this is the most comic accurate, and yeah, Hasbro are slacking when it comes to competing with this ToyBiz figure right here. I do have this I guess it's a graphic novel. It is a smaller book. I mean, you can see the height of it compared to this figure here. I've had this for years. I got it on Amazon back in the day, and this is really good. It's really worth your money. They do really well to collect a lot of the classic comics. You can see that I've read this a fair bit. It's not in the best condition, but yeah, it's something that I always go back to, and I've got a few of these. Again, really good to collect a lot of the classic issues, and I believe in this one it is following the story from the whole kind of Goblin Gwen Stacy arc, and you can see on the front of both of these the colours that they've used, the look of that classic comic Green Goblin, and ToyBiz have captured that look in figure form perfectly, comparing them to that cover here. And then what I wanted to do was just, well, first of all, we can see the colours here, that darker green and purple. There is pink here, like the shading is pink, but my mind's eye Green Goblin is green and purple for sure, especially when we open this thing up. I mean, that is purple, that is not pink. And the reason I say that is because we'll get onto the latest retro carded Green Goblin Marvel Legends figure. But looking at Goblin here, that is this Goblin. ToyBiz have taken the comic book pages into figure form here and just nailed it. I feel like, again, I'm not sure if there is a better comic Green Goblin figure than this ToyBiz one right here, and you can see that when we're looking at the comic pages. I mean, yeah, the eyes are white here. ToyBiz have went for a yellow. I don't know if I could quite find an example of that straight away. For some reason, I do feel like his eyes are yellow in my kind of mind's eye Green Goblin. But on the comic pages here, you can see they are mostly white. And so maybe that is a slight inaccuracy. We can see Norman taking the mask off here. But for the most part, yeah, that is the Goblin for me. This is the Goblin that I like the most, and it's the reason that I still think the ToyBiz holds up to this day. There's not another look and figure form that really nails it like they have here. And again, it all starts with that head sculpt, and I actually do really like the yellow eyes. I think that is an improvement on just the white eyes, if I'm being honest. I love the expression there. The sculpting is just top notch. The ears, yeah, and again, the colours on top, I think the colours are just perfect here. I think when you get to the body is where, of course, the age of this figure really starts to show. The body itself is completely fine, but I think proportion-wise, when you start to compare it to the likes of the legs, maybe the arms, it just looks a bit stocky, a bit bulky for Goblin. But I think the main issue is really the legs here. I'm having a bit of trouble just straightening that up here, but there we go. Yeah, the legs I think are a bit skinny, especially when it gets to that sort of knee area. That could be a bit bulkier. It looks like Spider-Man wouldn't really have much of a problem just snapping those legs, but I guess again it's just the age of the figure. You know, it's easy to compare this to a figure that came out 20 years later where the proportions are a lot better. This was the best for the time 20 years ago, and for that reason, that is how it is still managing to hold up. But if I was to point out any flaws in this piece, it probably would be just the kind of proportions of the legs here, especially when you're comparing it to the likes of the body. The body itself isn't bad, but yeah, again, comparing it with the rest of the figure, I think that's where the proportions get slightly off. I mean, it's not even bad. In my head, when I don't have this thing in hand, it's always a lot worse. And then when I see them, I'm like, yeah, it's not as bad as I thought. What they have done really well is this scale effect in the arms and the legs. Something that Hasbro has started to skimp out on in some later releases, the likes of the VHS Green Goblin and the Hobgoblin retro card release. They didn't give us that scale effect, and I think it just looks so cheap and nasty. ToyBiz have nailed it here. I think it looks really, really nice. Again, with that green on top, yeah, a highlight of the figure for sure. Again, I think the age of the figure shows in the hands. I mean, those hands don't look human-like. They are some straight up paws, and yeah, I think hands have definitely improved in the sculpting over the years, but again, something that the age of the figure is gonna, set it back, but it's not the worst again, but definitely something to highlight that these hands, aren't human-like. I don't know, just the way they're sculpted there, they do look quite odd. But again, not enough to really, ruin the overall figure for me anyway. I think it definitely still holds up. You can see this pumpkin bomb and it looks really good. I love the metallic orange here, the shininess of it. It maybe is a tad big, again, proportions, but yeah, I can easily look past that. I don't think it's too big or anything. It is just maybe worth noting. I mean, the likes of our latest Hasbro Marvel Legends movie, Green Goblin, that pumpkin bomb is minuscule compared to this thing, but I do really like the look of it. The satchel's really nice, and I'm glad that this one is coming complete with the satchel. Again, this one that I've been using for the last few years, I used the satchel for my Marvel Legends Hobgoblin that I think we took a closer look at on the channel, and I did compare these kind of figures with that Marvel Legends Hobgoblin, the one that came out before the retro card, which was the whole reason of me making that video. But yeah, really nice satchel for an older ToyBiz figure here. Spoke about the legs, and I think the boots are really nice and they work really well with the glider to be able to hook them on there. It keeps them secure on that glider, as you've seen at the start of the video. And again, it's something that Hasbro have started to slack on. They haven't even given us the more goblin type boots with again, the retro carded Hobgoblin. I'm not sure about that VHS Green Goblin, I'll need to double check. But yeah, again, something that in more recent years, Hasbro for some reason have decided to stray away from, when I think this is a great look, and again, the practicality of it to use with the glider. We should be getting boots like this. And so yeah, overall, this ToyBiz Green Goblin, I think it stands the test of time. The look that they've captured here hasn't been emulated to this level again. Super comic accurate. Proportions can be a wee bit off, but the overall charm of this piece really keeps it up in the top ranks. Perhaps another downfall of the figure is that the pumpkin bomb isn't removable, and so what you'll find with these figures on the likes of eBay, if you're trying to pick one up, you might have the collector who has like forcibly removed it, and you can see it does leave a wee bit of a mess. And it is a shame, because if they made it removable, you wouldn't really have as much of an issue. I like the fact that I now have a version without the pumpkin bomb in hand and then one with it in hand. It'll make kind of photo options a bit easier. And so yeah, I think the lack of removable pumpkin bomb is a bit of an oversight for this older ToyBiz figure. Something that I've noticed ToyBiz does a much better job on all those years ago is give us much better gliders with their goblin figures. On the left here is what Hasbro Marvel Legends has been giving us for years and years at this point, this tiny wee glider, which, yeah, it's nicely sculpted. I do like how it is nimble, it's not going to get in the way, especially again if you're using those action figure stands and posing Goblin about. But look at the difference here. I mean, this ToyBiz one is much more impressive, much more comic accurate as well. This thing just blows the pants off this smaller glider, and even though I'm saying the more nimble option might help you in the action figure photography, I've had no problems using this glider here with other Green Goblin figures for posing around and editing stands out and such. And so I think there's just a much more impressive scale with the ToyBiz, a lot more attention to detail and a lot more comic accuracy when we're talking about a classic Green Goblin anyway. To bring in the comics again, we can see the glider in that bottom right panel, and the ToyBiz have just nailed it here. And to bring in this unmasked variant, this is just such a cool addition. Something that Marvel Legends don't really do anymore is give us variant additions of the original figures. ToyBiz did this a few times, and I think this is a really cool example. We get the unmasked variant with the Norman Osborn head sculpt, and he's holding the mask in hand. Still has the pumpkin bomb, came with all the original bits and pieces. Unfortunately, this one isn't complete, but yeah, I'm really not complaining because this thing is in overall good condition. Something that is really annoying me at the moment, and I don't know if any of you guys watching can help, this leg is ski with. I mean, it is not really got that same range of movement as the original one does. You can see I've got the legs on this one straight, same with the other one here, and then this one just does not move in any further than you can see it here. You can see the ball peg, it's the same as the other ones. You can see that kind of hinge there. On the inside there isn't much movement there, and I don't want to break this figure at all. I don't think it's something that heat's really going to help. I don't know if it is a case of trying to move the ball joint around or something, but yeah, his leg is sticking out very noticeably here, and so something that has annoyed me with this particular one. But that aside, we get the same pumpkin bomb in this hand, but the most impressive bit and most unique thing about this variant is the unmasked Norman Osborn head sculpt. And so again, to compare our ToyBiz figure to the panels of the comic, I think they have done a great job here capturing the essence of Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin. I don't think it is as an accurate comparison as the masked Green Goblin head sculpt to the comic counterpart, but there's certainly no doubt as to who Green Goblin's alter ego is here. I like how they've sculpted the hair. I mean, something that's always stood out to me about Norman Osborn in the show and the comics is his hair. I never really understand what that's meant to look like in a real life scenario, but they've captured it well here in figure form, the way it's just kind of rigid all along his head there. And he has this manic scream expression on the face, which just shows that Norman is going a bit crazy, and I think it is a really cool look, something a bit different. And what I like a lot with this piece is the mask that he's holding in the hand. When we compare that unmasked mask to the mask on the head sculpt here, I think it just tells such a good story. I mean, the accuracy of kind of replicating these two in different sort of styles is unreal. That is the same mask, you know what I mean? Like, they have done a great job with this variant figure, and I love how that looks in his hand there. And so yeah, this variant piece isn't much different apart from the unmasked sculpt, the mask in the hand, but it's still a worthwhile pickup to again tell that kind of story between the two figures, have the variant chase version. I love it. As I mentioned at the start of the video, unfortunately the unmasked variant didn't come with the original glider, but the seller did include this ToyBiz Hobgoblin glider with the Green Goblin piece, and this glider is insane. Look at, to bring in that Marvel Legends one again, it is like a tenth of the size. I mean, it is insane how far ToyBiz went with their gliders, and it just looks so impressive. The sculpt of this thing looks so gnarly. I don't think it fits Green Goblin. It is more of a Hobgoblin glider, or is it Demon Goblin or Demo Goblin? As much as I know about that character is that it was a Build-A-Figure, and so yeah, not too familiar, but I think this could even be his glider. But I'm sure it did come with a ToyBiz Hobgoblin, and it is an impressive glider. I'm certainly going to keep it about in the collection, definitely make use of it with some Goblin figures. But yeah, just wanted to show it off here. I mean, the sculpting's really nice, the colours they've used is great, and again, not the original glider, but still definitely a glider that I'm happy to keep a hold of for now. And so here is our ToyBiz Green Goblin next to some of the newer and best Hasbro Spider-Man Marvel Legends figures. On the left we've got the Amazing Friends Spidey, and on the right is the Renew Your Vows with the Ben Reilly head sculpt. And I feel like everything I've kind of said to this point really comes into fruition here. I mean, the head sculpt is absolutely ace, and I feel like this ToyBiz head sculpt could have came from Hasbro this year. I mean, it has stood the test of time so well. It's when you start to look at the rest of the figure that the age of it really starts to show in terms of the proportions. I mean, that left hand is sticking out like a sore thumb, and with the ball jointed hips going into the legs, yeah, you can tell that this isn't perhaps the most up-to-date Green Goblin figure, but it still isn't bad, and I do think it holds its own to a certain extent, especially in terms of, you know, the hand and the legs. Your glider with the stand, the pumpkin bomb in hand, that's a wee Dr. Seuss rhyme for you there, that's going to mask some of these more aged flaws with this figure. You know, it's not going to be the end of the world. And yeah, I mean, for my money, this is certainly my favourite and better comic Green Goblin figure. I mean, especially pairing him with our amazing friend Spidey here. I actually did copy this image for my Instagram page with these two figures, and I feel like it works fairly well despite that ToyBiz figure being over 20 years old. And so here is our ToyBiz Goblin next to my favourite Hasbro Marvel Legends Green Goblin figure. I do also have the retro carded Green Goblin, but it's still mint on card and it's deep in storage, and that's because I just don't really have a purpose for him out of the box. For me, these two Green Goblins do the trick, and a mix match of these two would be my perfect Green Goblin figure. With this metallic green, with the sculpted scaling, with the ToyBiz head sculpt, I think that would just look excellent, and I do hope that's something we get from Hasbro Marvel Legends in the near future, but I have a feeling we probably aren't going to be getting a Green Goblin for a while with that VHS release. For the record, I just don't like that VHS figure at all. There's something about it that just doesn't look great to me. I think it looks a bit cheap, especially in comparison with this Green Goblin here. And the retro card is just basically the same comments as everyone else. I feel like the colours are really off and the bug-like eyes just kind of ruin the vibe. I see some people saying like the colours of the retro carded are more comic accurate. I've seen that argument made, and I just personally don't see that at all. I think ToyBiz are definitely coming out on top when it comes to that more comic accurate Goblin figure. A couple of figures that I mentioned at the start of the video were the McFarlane Superposable Spider-Man ToyBiz figure and their Sinister Six Spider-Man figure. And both of these looks to Spidey are very typical ToyBiz comic stylized pieces, and it's something we don't really see from Marvel Legends today. A lot of the body molds are a lot more just standardized and a lot of reuse, and we don't get the same sort of risk taking that ToyBiz took back in the day. And I guess it wasn't even a risk back then, they were just releasing different comic styles for Spider-Man. And for that reason, I do think they still hold up to a certain extent here. I mean, we aren't ever going to get another Spider-Man figure that looks like these ones, because I think the process from companies is like Mafex and Marvel Legends, again, it's a much more standard, sleek sort of look. And those figures definitely have a place. I do also really like those figures, but I also like going back to these ToyBiz ones here because of how unique they are. And again, I think it's still worth your while picking these up in 2024. And so there we have it for our ToyBiz Marvel Legends Green Goblin action figure. And I hope you've enjoyed this bit of a blast from the past. I do like going back to these older ToyBiz figures because they do still have a lot of charm. They're very unique in their style. We don't get figures like these anymore, and for that reason I do think they are still worth having and taking a closer look at. As I said, personally, this is my favourite Green Goblin figure that I have. I think another really good classic Green Goblin figure that has just came out is the Mezco Green Goblin, and that figure is certainly going to be one that I hope to pick up over the next few years. I don't have an immediate need to pick it up and splash all that cash on it, but I'll certainly be keeping my eye out to see if I can get one for a good deal on the likes of eBay, because yeah, it looks excellent. For me, in the time being, I'll stick with my ToyBiz Green Goblin and my Hasbro Marvel Legends Green Goblin here. Again, those are two of my favourites. Let me know what your favourite Green Goblin figures are down in the comment section below. Again, what your kind of favourite ToyBiz figures are. While you're down there guys, if you could do me a massive favour, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button. I'll leave my Instagram in the description below, where I post pictures of all my figures up over there, and I have a lot of fun. I've posted a lot of pictures with this Green Goblin figure in the past, and it would mean a lot if you could check out the Instagram page. And feel free to hop on over to the channel page as well, check out any of my other videos. With all that being said guys, thank you so much for watching this video right here, and as always, I'll catch yous on the flip flop later. Cheers.